Welcome to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast, empowering you to take a whole person approach to your well-being, spirit, soul, and body. Join me, your host, Dr. Ana Lara, naturopathic doctor, entrepreneur, and a servant of Jesus Christ. We are not just a body, we are spirit and soul. It's time to integrate medicine and spirituality into our healing. Let's get started. Welcome back to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ana Lara, and today we are going to talk about burnout. That's right. We have this burnout culture that is justifying these really just poor behaviors that I continuously see and hear about, whether it's in my patients, whether it's in every professional sphere that I see. And, in parenting, moms love to do this. And I'm really sick and tired of it because we continue to encourage this behavior of let's do as much as we can, right? And it's really costing people's well-being. It comes with a price. It's a cost of, towards your physical health, mental health as well. So I think it's a topic that's very timely according to our times. It's a very powerful topic, especially for very ambitious professionals, ambitious students, and people who are very creative. They like to burn themselves out and do a lot. And anyone who really has that mindset, that hustle mindset, right? And so I'm going to just be open, honest, and transparent. I always say I'm coming in hot. And that means honest, open, and transparent. This was one of the things that led me to disease. That's right. I was always a high achiever, top student, perfect attendance, straight A's. I did all the sports, music, instruments, activity, everything I can be a part of. I was doing it, and I managed it well when I was young. As a young adult, I was working full-time, going to college full-time, being part of different, community organizations, and just really participating as much as I could in things that I found I was passionate about, that I love to do. But ultimately, that behavior caught up to me. When I was 26, 27 years old, I found myself just not able to get up, and I was still pushing myself to get things done. And I had to learn what my behavior had been is what led me to developing disease. And so it wasn't just a diet. It wasn't just, I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I never did drugs. I wasn't partying. I wasn't at nightclubs. I wasn't doing that behavior. I wasn't doing none of the negative things, or at least the negative things that society looks upon, right, down on. I wasn't doing any of that. But I was doing all the good things, just too much, too excessive, too ambitious, too driven. And what I've learned now, in my mid-40s is that was coming from this place of not feeling like I had self-worth, like I wasn't valuable, or I was trying to prove my value to someone, to who, I didn't know who. And usually there is one or two parents in your life that you're doing all this because of what you didn't receive when you were a child. Maybe your mother didn't give you the attention, right? The acknowledgments that you were seeking, the positive reinforcements, the acknowledgments from that one parent that you didn't get. Now you're looking for it, but you're looking for that acknowledgement in other people or in other activities, right, that you're involved in. And usually people who have this hustle mindset, there's actually a part of you that needs healing. Right? Because someone who is holistically whole and they're healthy and they're balanced out, they don't have a need for that. They have this peace. They get things done. They prioritize what's important to them. They focus on those things to get those things done. And they have a balance in their life. And I knew this in my 20s. I knew in my 20s that if I could find balance in my life that I would be happy. But I didn't think that I was doing anything wrong by being in college full-time, working a full-time job, being part of community organizations and events that, brought positive things to the community. The bad thing was that I was hurting myself in the process. And so it took me becoming ill, like many of you. You might relate to this. I know a lot of my patients have found themselves there, that they're now slowing down and reassessing what's important for me in my life moving forward, because I cannot function this way anymore. So we're going to take this time and space to pause, to reflect, and just get real about the way we are living and the way we are working, because this is not the way we're intended to live and to work. So we're going to get right into this burnout culture and what to do about it, right? So we glorify the grind, the busier you are, we praise the productivity. Look how much I'm doing, and I'm writing a book, and I have a podcast, and I'm doing all these things, and you're miserable. You're wearing exhaustion like it's an honor badge. And I've been guilty of it, like I said, for myself. And sometimes I put the honor badge on other people to say, wow, look how much they're doing. It's amazing how they can do so much and balance out so much. But you really don't know what their life is behind closed doors. You don't know what their home life is. You don't know when they go to bed, what they're thinking, how they're feeling, what their physical health is like. Oftentimes the people who are running exhausted don't even acknowledge they're exhausted. They don't even know what the physiology is. Do they have underlying medical conditions that are coming to the surface? And we continue to wear that badge of honor of exhaust yourself and, burn the candle on both ends. I know my mom always said, when we die, we will rest. That's when we get our rest. And many people will say that, and that's not a healthy way to look at life. And so let's go ahead and unpack this and talk about the stages of burnout. So let's define the term burnout. So burnout isn't just feeling tired. It's an unusual fatigue. It's usually when you get to a state of chronic physical and emotional exhaustion. The things that once brought you excitement and passion, the reason why you got into doing those things, you've kind of lost some flavor and taste for, like you started with the right intention, you had passion for it, and now it's just kind of dying off. There could be a little bit, like I said, emotional exhaustion, cynicism. There's a sense of reduced accomplishment. Like, where am I going with this? I keep doing these things. There is not a true fulfillment in everything that you're doing. It's just not satisfying anymore. And this usually happens when your tank is empty. I've told many patients in my office, lady or sir, your tank is empty. And I know when I look at the labs, their hormones and everything, it's like they're running on empty. And not just physically empty, but spiritual emptiness too. And you could be doing the good thing and still be exhausted, because there's balance to life. I see this, believe it or not, I see this in a lot of good people that are doing good things in our community. Maybe they're involved in organizations, nonprofit organizations that are helping, bring good things to people in the community. Pastors, leaders in churches, people involved in churches, oftentimes they're just exhausted and they start to lose that fire and that passion, the reason why they even started to do that. So that's a sign that you're running on empty, and it might be a good time to slow down, pause, and start to prioritize a couple of things. And so, this burnout culture is the broader system that's normalizing and even celebrates the kind of depletion, right? Like I said earlier, it's the sleep when you're dead mentality. That's not a healthy mentality to have. And so there's always this pressure to always be available, always be producing, always be on. And that's a very difficult demand, right? I found myself doing that early on in practice as a physician when I finally had to step back and said, I am not God to my patients. I am their doctor, and these are the times that I'm available. So I had to, in the last episode, if you didn't hear my last episode, episode 55 on setting healthy boundaries, that really is a good foundation for this, because you're going to have to learn how to set boundaries to avoid or to heal from burnout. So you want to be able to know when to say no to things, and also acknowledge that it's not your responsibility to entertain someone all the time, to be producing for someone. So some of the signs that you might be stuck in burnout culture are these 4 points. You're feeling guilty when you're not working. Oh yeah, been there. Measuring your worth by your productivity. Oh yeah, been there. Struggling to rest even when you try to rest. I hear this very common. They've done all this work, all the work throughout the day. They were busy. Now it's time for bed, and they're struggling to rest. Their mind is restless because they're still thinking about what else they could have done or what they have to do the next day. And then celebrating overwork as ambition. Overwork is not what we're designed to do. So if this sounds familiar, trust me, you're not alone. This is a good 80-90%, I'm sure, of the population. So where did burnout culture come from? It just didn't appear out of nowhere, obviously. It's a byproduct of this hyper-capitalism, this hustle culture, the digital, connectivity that we have, everything that's on social media. I hear a lot of very successful people that are talking about just burning the candle on both ends. And while, yeah, you'll end up getting money, you'll end up having success, but what does it do to you physically? And as you get older, you know how many people I've worked with that have a lot of money, but they're not happy. They're just miserable and they're not enjoying life. So you really want to stop and reassess these things. So in the US, especially, work is often tied to identity and moral value. And, that's not true. Your identity is not in what you do. It's who you are, and what you want to become as a person, who you are as a person. So if you're not working hard, the mindset is that you're wasting your time. And I know this is true. When I left corporate America to stay home with my daughter in 2010, I remember having, colleagues, ex-colleagues or friends tell me, aren't you bored staying at home? Like, you must be bored. I can't even imagine you. Anna, who was, busy all the time with her profession and school or community involved organizations, like, you're just staying home. Like, how boring is that? So even the people who were close to me couldn't even acknowledge that I actually was happy. I was happy that I finally had a moment to stop, pause, reflect, and work on healing, right? So, technology doesn't help at all. I see a lot of people who are on their phones constantly. Maybe they have a social following, and everywhere you go with these people, they're on their phone. They never are in the present moment, just enjoying life without taking a picture or recording themselves. So all of these things can be contribute to burnout culture. And even rest can become a performance for some people. I'm sure you've seen people are on vacation and they're posting pictures of themselves on the beach or doing self-care, a massage or whatever it is. So there's always someone posting on self-care of what they're doing for self-care. And true self-care, when you're truly in the moment enjoying life and taking care of yourself, your phone, even the idea of taking a picture or recording something, it doesn't even happen because you're truly present in the moment. And I've hanged out with friends and sometimes we're like, oh, we didn't even take our phones out. That's because we're enjoying each other's presence. So the other thing too, as part of burnout culture is just mentally how exhausted people are. And so I oftentimes get asked by patients, what can I take for not just physical energy, but mental energy? And sometimes I tell them, it's not just what you take, it might be what you have to cut out of your life. Things that are taking up mental energy and resources, you might want to cut that out. Because burnout isn't just being in a bad mood, right? It will have an effect on your physical body and your mind eventually. And it'll suck the life out of you. You won't feel enjoyment. of the things that you once loved. And you start to seek for that enjoyment, and it makes it very difficult when you're burnt out. So some of the consequences of chronic burnout, right? If you're not doing anything about it, if you're not stopping to rest and repair and, rebalance yourself, you're going to find that you are higher at risk for anxiety and feeling depressed. You're going to have more risk of sleep disturbances, a weakened immune system, brain fog, memory issues, which is very common. What I see is brain fog. And, emotional detachment and numbness. This is a real thing. I know after the first year of COVID, so sometime in 2021 towards 2022, a lot of people in the healthcare industry, including myself, we found ourselves like emotionally detached and just kind of feeling numb. And there's a term called compassion fatigue syndrome. It's like a real thing. I laughed at it when someone told me, I think you have compassion fatigue syndrome. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And as I read through what is compassion fatigue syndrome, I'm like, oh yeah, every single thing on there. I was feeling and experiencing all that. You feel guilty for, spending time. I remember feeling guilty for spending time with my daughters. And the guilt came from because I knew so many people who had died, who left their children behind, whether they died from COVID or from other, cancer, other issues. It started to really wear on me. It started to burn me out, emotionally burn out. And so then I felt guilt when I was trying to spend time with my family, right? And it was something that I had to stop, slow down, and address those feelings. Why do I feel this way? And how can I honor these people and also honor me and honor my family as well by being present with them? Like, what are the things that I need to feel this part of me? And I'm going to tell you, oftentimes this emotional detachment and numbness requires that you slow down and silence the noise around you in your life, no media and nothing else that really matters, and just have this spiritual encounter with God to allow Holy Spirit to fill you up, to fill your soul, to heal your soul, to fill up your spirit, because that's where you're going to find restoration at that kind of level. So this kind of a chronic burnout, it's going to affect your relationships. It will affect your creativity every time. So it's important to take those moments to pause and to take care of yourself. It will affect your creativity. It will affect your health. And like I said, it will affect your ability to do the work that got you to burnout in the first place. So you everything needs to have a balance there. Learn to say no to people. We talked about that in setting healthy boundaries. You have to learn to say no to people and no to things. And sometimes you are the problem. It's not other people. You are the problem. You keep volunteering yourself. You keep raising your hand. You keep coming up with ideas. Let me do that idea. Let me do that. Let me get involved with this. It's your fault. And I'm saying that because that was my problem. It was my fault. I was constantly the one volunteering to things, raising my hand before they even asked of me to do something. And this was in my 20s. And in my late 20s, when I realized I'm causing this problem, I need to stop. So I need to become self-aware of that behavior and stop it. And we'll talk about some things that I do on how to decide priorities, right? And should I get involved in that project or not? And so the good news is that you can change this. You can change this, you can turn it around, and you can learn to normalize this healthier rhythm of life, right? There's a rhythm to life. And what is your rhythm is going to be different than someone else. And that's the other thing. Stop comparing yourself to what someone else is doing. As a doctor, I don't compare myself to what other doctors are doing. If they're doing brilliant things, opening 1 million clinics across the world, great for them. They might not be in the same situation as I am. And I have to know myself, know my identity, know my roles, my responsibilities, my priorities, and my wants and needs. And honor that and stop looking outside of me, right? Stop comparing myself to others. And so I find that a lot of really, overachieving people, that they get caught up comparing themselves to someone else and competing with other people and wanting to outperform others, outperform themselves, and that's not healthy. That's not the way our nervous system wants to function either way. So here are some 6 strategies to break this cycle. The first step is, let's redefine success. What does that look like? What does it look like to you, more importantly? Because my definition of success is not going to be the same as any other person, right? And so you need to redefine what success looks like for you. So shift from how much did I do today to did I do what mattered most? And this goes back to setting those priorities, right? Pick 2, 3 things that are your priority in your life, in your day, in the month, in the year, whatever, all of those things, actually. You should look at your priorities in life. What takes priority? I always say God, family, and then work. And you have to prioritize in that way. What are the priorities for me this year? What are the priorities for me in the first 3 months, for this month, for this week, for today, right? My priority is to record this podcast and go work out and spend some time with my family. That's my priority for today. So redefine the success to what did I do that mattered most? What are your priorities? Step number 2 is set boundaries. We talked about that in the last episode. Set those boundaries and keep them, more importantly. If you say you're going to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 in the morning to 3 p.m., keep those boundaries. If you know you want to work, I always tell patients, put in your workout time like an appointment on your calendar. And that is an important appointment with yourself, for your well-being, that gets to spill over to other people in your life because you're taking care of you. Set your workout time like an important appointment for you with yourself. And for me, my workout time is not just an important time for me physically, it's an important time for me and Holy Spirit moments, right? My creativity comes through oftentimes when I'm working out. So protect your time and your energy, and that means no logging off, and not apologizing for taking breaks, right? So set those boundaries. There's 3 things that I tell people in setting boundaries. If something or someone is stealing from my time, my energy, and my resources, money, then you want to assess that relationship and situation and establish a healthy boundary around that. Sometimes it's a flat out no to certain people or certain things if it's robbing of your time and your energy and your money. And energy is valuable. Your energy, physical energy, mental energy, it's very valuable. So anytime someone is taking away from me my energy, we got to set a boundary right there, real quick. Step number 3, rest as a radical act. I want you to get so serious about your dedication to resting. It is so important because when we take the time to rest, this is a time that we are regenerating and recovering from our day, and we come up sharper the next day to address and face life and face obstacles in life. Rest isn't being lazy, it's restorative. Rest is restorative. I want to get rid of this culture, this behavior of thinking that resting is for lazy people. And that's not true. Smart people rest so they can be fully restored in mind, body, and spirit. And so schedule it like it's a meeting, just like working out. Schedule it like it's an important meeting, because it is. I oftentimes find that my rest, my sleep, it's my meeting time with God. It's where I can surrender my physical body and just rest. And so don't wait until you're falling apart and you're forced then to rest, because that's the reality. If you don't take the time to rest and recover and heal, your body will force you later on, and it might be at a time that you're not ready to do that. You might have a lot going on. So it's better to schedule the time and sleep and rest than to be forced into it, because this is all you have now, right? Detox from the hustle media. Just silence those voices. You have control of what you listen to and what you see. And if what they're saying is not healthy, stop listening to it, period. Unfollow accounts that glorify burnout. Seek inspirational, things that celebrate sustainability. You want life to be sustainable long term and not self-destructive. Step number 5 is you want to reconnect with purpose. When work feels like a grind, purpose can reconnect you to meaning. Why are you doing what you're doing? So you want to go back to the drawing board. Why did I start this to begin with? Why am I doing this to begin with? Go back and reconnect with your purpose, why you're doing this. And sometimes there are changes in your life that you might have to make when you're assessing, right, your purpose. Maybe God is directing you in a new direction. And the only way you're going to know that and identify this new direction is to hear God's voice. And you need to rest. You need to slow down, take some time to rest, to hear God's voice. You need peace. You need silence to be able to make those connections. And then step number 6, and this is to, how to break from this burnout culture. Step number 6 is find just these small moments of joy. Burnout often flattens ourselves emotionally. And so you need to rediscover these little things that bring joy. It might be music, it might be nature, it might be silence, it might be laughter. But just reconnect with these things that bring you joy. I'll share with you, I was out hiking earlier this week. And I was out by myself. It was nice and hot. And I did one of my favorite trails. And it's a hard trail. It's really inclined. And I found myself in this shaded spot that I just took a break there. And I just started to thank God. I started to thank Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for everything you've done for me. Thank you for my life. Thank you for guiding me. And as I said that, these 3 hummingbirds rushed at me unexpectedly. And they start just flying around me. And one of them was over my head, just swirling around, comes around me to my right and stands right in front of me, like within arm's reach. Like I could almost touch it, but I didn't want to touch it. And it made me giggle. It just brought joy to me. All this bursts of energy from these little hummingbirds, it brought joy to me. Just such a small little hummingbird can bring joy to you when you're truly out authentically, just enjoying nature. And I felt like, okay, God, I know you see me. And thank you for using your nature to let me know that your presence is with me. And it's moments like that you cannot get that by watching a video. You can't watch it by scrolling on your phone. You can't get that joy by, burdening yourself with doing more work and doing work for others. These are the moments that you need to use to find joy in your day. So go out for a walk, go into nature, listen to music, laugh, just be in silence. There's nothing wrong with that either. And there's so much more, right, that I can talk about burnout. But I think this is a good introduction to at least get the conversation going that this burnout culture, it's not okay. As a matter of fact, most of the time, patients that come in with chronic disease, whether it's cancer, autoimmune conditions, metabolic conditions, whatever it is, I always tell them that one of the requirements to healing the body is to slow down and rest. The body needs to be in a state of rest in order for it to restore. And so the reason why sleep is so important is that our bodies are healing and regenerating during this time. So if a person's trying to heal through cancer and there's still high levels of stress, unfortunately, people who have cancer are forced to slow down. They're forced to slow down. They're doing chemo. Oftentimes, they're not able to work anymore. They're debilitated. They lose a lot of muscle. They lose a lot of weight. They can't physically move. They don't have the physical energy or the cognitive energy to function. And so don't get to that point. But even in these states of being, I tell people you need to be able to rest to be restored. Rest to be restored. Autoimmune conditions. It's the other thing. If your nervous system is going, you're not going to reverse. You're not going to put things into remission if it's an autoimmune condition, because your body needs to be able to preserve itself. And that's what it's doing. It's trying to preserve itself. Your body is designed to keep you alive. Now, if your behavior and your decisions are not lining up, they're not providing the resources that your body, your physical body needs to heal and restore, then it can't do its job. So you need to do your part in eating well, sleeping well, managing your stress, moving your body right, exercising, and taking time to enjoy life. Look, unfortunately, I've been at the bedside of many loved ones who've taken their last breath of life. And all the work that you're doing, all the money, the achievements, your degrees, all your experience, everywhere you've traveled, everything you've owned, even your body, you will not take with you. None of it will matter in those dying moments. But what matters are the memories, the times that you spent with your family, your growth and development spiritually. Those are the things that matter. So bring balance to life. You know, don't overwork yourself. Don't take yourself to the grave too soon is what I say. Slow down, balance it out. And if there are most likely, childhood wounds, there's a wounded child inside of you that needs to be seen, that needs to be heard, acknowledged, and praised. I really encourage that you seek professional help and help this inner child of yours to be seen and heard, and to know that your value doesn't come through all the things you do in your day-to-day, all the accomplishments you've done. That does not define who you are. So get to know who your identity is. How did God create you to be, and be that, And yeah, I am grateful to God to be able to be in a position that I am able to take situations and then discern what should I do or don't. So I said I was going to share what I do to prioritize, to make sure I don't get myself to burnout, because I do have a clinic. I see patients. I'm obviously involved in the operations of the business, the podcast. I'm involved in a couple of other projects that I'm working out on. I have a family, I have family that depends on me. I have friends that I still spend time with. I work out. I take time to, give to myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So when someone presents an opportunity to me, I listen. I'm in neutral. I tell myself, let me listen neutrally, not allow my emotions to get in the way. So I'm just looking at logical information. And as they're sharing what they're sharing, if they want me to be part of this project or whatever it is, I listen to what God is telling me. I want to hear his voice deposit in my heart. Is this for me? Yes or no? Period. And I will immediately know this is for me or it's not for me. And if I'm sensing I don't have the time, it's not something I'm really interested in, I'm not driven, it's not a priority, then I'll just tell the person, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you considering me for something like that. Unfortunately, right now, with my time, I schedule my commitments. It's not feasible for me to do, and just refuse them, and just say, it's not really how I work, right? You have to know who you are. You have to know what your priorities are. And I've done this long enough to know that sometimes when you say yes out of guilt, you end up in a situation you never wanted to be part of. And so this people pleasing, it got to go. You need to heal from the people pleasing. And remember that you're only here to please your creator and not other people. And sometimes people are going to be disappointed, but they'll find, you have to trust that they will find the right person to fit what they're looking for. And so this is true when you're volunteering for anything. Don't over volunteer. Don't spread yourself thin. Always give yourself at least 3 days to think about something before deciding. That's another tip that I learned really early on, is I never make a decision on the spot. So what do you find in marketing? Marketing tactics, oftentimes there's this for a limited time, if you call today, if you click on this, you'll get 50% off. If you don't do it, you'll lose out, right? Those are all marketing ploys to tap into you emotionally, this scarcity mentality, or like you're running out of time, you got to do it now. I don't fall for those patterns, those behaviors, that approach at all. I don't like it. I don't like it for it to be done on me. I don't like to do it for people. Be straight up and forward. Don't make decisions on the spot. Oftentimes those decisions on the spot, unless it comes from God, unless it's directly from God and you're on fire for it, but you want to take the time to pause and say, let me think about that. Or even better, let me pray on that and I'll get back to you. Let me think about that. Let me reflect. Let me pray on that. Let me get back to you. Give me some time. Take yourself away from that situation or from the group of people or that person, and then think about, is this something that I want to do? So these are just some tips on, preventing burnout, dealing with burnout, and just shedding some light on the topic of burnout culture, because I oftentimes see people very, very ill. And it's not unusual for me to have the patient who says they're fine and they're doing all these things. But once we review the blood work, it's almost like they put their wall down, the barrier down, and then they're sharing, well, I do feel tired and I do feel this. And the labs don't lie. The labs are the results of what's going on inside of you. But now they've slowed down to look and reflect. There's something going off in me that's wrong, that's unbalanced, and I need to give it attention. So then they make their health a priority. Make yourself a priority. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation and you've taken some value. Please share, like and share this video with someone that you think can really benefit them. And until next time, be blessed. Thank you for listening to Physician Heal Thyself, the podcast. If you like what you've heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Help this message reach more people who may need to hear it. Leave your comments. I want to know what you think. If you're interested in learning more about Raíces, visit our website at raicesndmedcenter.com. Until next time, be blessed.